How you doing, everyone? Welcome to Onward with Onrie Live. I'm your host, Henri Compen, and I am coming at you guys from the Dominican Republic right now. Here, check out where I'm at. It's been raining all morning, but certainly beats Chicago weather. So getting out here and trying to enjoy the sun as soon as it comes up would be a wonderful thing. Well, anyway, I wanted to come here and talk with you guys today because whether I'm here or in Chicago, it is very important for me to be near you guys and to show you that I am committed to being with you here on Facebook right now. So today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about some conventions I have coming up throughout the year, and just share a little bit about my goals for the year and what I hope to achieve. So as many of you know, I have a reputation of selling out at conventions, and I do intend to keep that streak intact. The 2017 year ended really well for us. We had our highest sales return ever in the history of our series, and now I want to top that. So in order to top that, I have to kind of reassess things, and that's what's great about having an off season, because when you're in the off season, you have time to read books and kind of analyze what's been going on in your career and see how things have been going and see how you can change stuff. I apologize if you guys hear it. There's a dude over here. He's just working, hustling. What's going on, bro? Working hard? Oh, man. Thank you. Really appreciate it. This is nice being out here. Anyway, when I do conventions, I try and pick up on things that I can bring with me to the following year. So whether I perform well at a show or not is a huge determination of whether or not I choose to do it, because if I want to keep the sales streak intact, I have to constantly challenge myself and, at the same time stick in areas where I know I can accomplish those feats, raising the bar every year, of course. So, for example, in the last 2 years at C2E2, I raise the amount of books I would sell at the following show by a certain percentage. So like, let's say I want to raise it by 10% the following year. You always want your sales to go up. And that's a really beautiful thing when you're working in this market, because when you're working in the direct market, basically, and only the direct market, you basically get your books out there after one solicitation, and that's it. Whatever sells. What's nice about having your own independent thing going and being able to take it on the road is that your sales climb over time. And that's evidenced by the sales for YI SOON SHIN, Warrior and Defender 1. Because the book's been in print now since 2009 and has sold 15,000 copies we just broke that number last year. And the numbers for it are climbing. So I'm hoping to hit the 20,000 mark by, say, 2019. And steadily keep growing the sales for each book. And when you're constantly getting out there and you're constantly doing it, eventually you're going to see results. And in order to kind of keep yourself motivated and keep yourself in the game, it's important to educate yourself and keep yourself up to date on what's going on in the industry. Not just from like a business standpoint, but just for your own self. Like right now, you pay attention to the direct market. Sales are kind of in the gutter right now, and it's unfortunate, and hopefully things will pick up, because if the entire comic book industry is thriving, then essentially all the independent guys are thriving as well. And I got friends who work at mainstream companies, so I don't want them out of work. It's a tough business we're in, so we all got to stick together. But in terms of the independent scene, it's a little bit different, because I think it's an oncoming market. Like I just finished reading a book about an interview between Frank Miller and Will Eisner, and they just basically, it was just a conversation piece. It was like 350 pages. It's a really fantastic book, and they talk about all spectrums of the business of comics, and from the creative side to the business side. And in terms of the business side, it's like comics have always kind of like morphed and developed into different areas, and independent comics themselves have been around for decades now. Ever since Marvel and DC were established, there were multiple little publishers that were out there putting out comics and all kinds of stuff. And that number hasn't decreased, but the methods of distribution kind of have, because comics before, when they were selling in newsprint, they were able to be distributed in newsstands, and they were selling millions of units this way, and the prices were low. And one guy who's actually kind of got his stuff together in the independent scene is Peter Simeti with Alterna Comics. I think that what he's doing right now with bringing newsprint back has been a real revitalizing shot, not just to comics, but to independent guys like us. You know, it's good to see that there's innovation out there and that people are doing stuff. And, you know, those are the kinds of things I pay attention to. Even though direct market sales are not really like my thing, I usually like to go to conventions and talk to people. It would also be wonderful if I could get that direct market distribution thing going and sell books through retailers as well. So, you know, like one of the things I'm working on is trying to get my book into Barnes & Noble. And we also have Amazon, which has also been a huge thing. But 90% of my sales come from conventions. And if I'm not evolving with my product, then it will die. You know, like I have to constantly change my approach, change my strategy, you know, get smarter. And so I've been spending the off season like reading business books. And by business books, I mean a wide range of anything, you know, not just this book about Frank Miller and Will Eisner shooting the shit, but I just picked up this book that was written by this like badass Army Ranger. And this guy's like gone on like crazy ass missions. He's like special ops. And he wrote this book about like leadership and like how to basically like take the bull by the horns. And you know, that's something that's really important to do, because if you're not gonna, if you don't, a leader is somebody who you know knows when to take charge and how to guide people through a certain place and you know achieve the goal, you know. So what's really cool is I've been reading about like this method that he developed within the Army in order for them to quickly be able to assess like their targets and like limit friendly fire. Because like one thing that was happening is that he did some mission in like Mogadishu, and like basically like his men were not like ready, and they like fired like 3 friendly fire shots and like killed a bunch of like friendlies. Well, I don't think they killed them, but they definitely shot at friendlies. So regardless of anything, that in the Army is very bad. And it's even worse if you miss, because you're special ops. You're not supposed to miss. If you find a target, you're supposed to hit it down with like 2 or 3 shots. You're like, even 1. I mean, you're trained to be at the elite level. So the fact that they fired at a friendly is bad. And if they miss, that's bad too, because it's like, that means their training was off. So this guy who wrote the book, he was talking about leadership, and you know he came up with a really great way to motivate his men to like to train them so that they could quickly pick up on things. And the one thing he mentions in his strategy is that leadership is all about motivating people to do things that are not out of their realm of expertise. So for example, if you're a single guy going into a mission, you need to be aware of everything around you. But if you're when you're in there, you need to kind of eliminate, and you need to process information a certain way. Like you need to be able to look at what's relevant and what's not relevant. And when it's not relevant, just cut it out completely. You know, just forget it's even there. So taking it to like a convention scene approach, like if I get rejected, I just should just, you know, take it off and, you know, keep moving on to the next person. Don't get discouraged, because that next sale will come over time. And anyway, getting back to what happened was he trained them to, you know, basically develop the system so that they could quickly assess things. So when you're out there by yourself, you have to focus on many things, and you have to be able to process the information quickly so that you can find your target, get the job done, get the hell out of wherever you're at. If you're in a team situation, it's a lot easier, because you got, you know, 3 people who are supposed to communicate, and you know they're supposed to handle certain areas, and you know, like one guy will look forward, and another guy will look to the, you know, the sides, and the other guy will get your back, you know, that kind of thing. And they're supposed to be able to learn how to or how to communicate non-verbally. So, you know, through a non-verbal communication isn't even a hand signal. It's actually like a shot fired. So that's the communication. That's non-verbal communication, according to this book. And so in order to help everybody like on his team learn everything, he came up with this system called a loop. And a loop is a system that allows you to quickly identify all the important aspects before you actually hit a target. And the loop is actually an abbreviation for OODA. So OODA, and O stands for I forgot what it was. I hate when words slip my mind. All right, for not orientation. So it's like O something, I'll remember it in a second. Then the second O is orientation, then decide and act. And observe. Observe, orient, decide, and act. So when you're observing, you're basically supposed to just, obviously look around. And the way they used to teach you how to like pick targets in the Army was by looking at the hands, because the hands were an indication if someone was a target or not. And they couldn't like really, after a while, it got kind of difficult to tell if it was a friendly or an enemy. Just because someone has their hands up like ready to shoot doesn't necessarily mean they're your enemy. So he talks about how he helps them improve that. But anyway, the whole point of everything is that it's all about strengthening people's confidence in the things that they're doing. And that's something that I applied to my comics by encouraging my team to do better and to work harder, and the only way to do that is by taking action yourself. If I'm sitting on my ass doing nothing, if I'm out there enjoying my vacation and not checking in and keeping everybody working, they're not going to be motivated to meet deadlines for me, because if I set a deadline and I say, this has got to be done, doesn't matter when I'm on vacation, I got to do the job, I got to see it through. And, those are the kinds of things that I have been working on. But in terms of conventions that I'm going to be doing this year, I'm really excited to talk about them. I'm going to be talking more about them as I come closer to actually doing them. But this year I've got a total of 13 shows that I want to do, and so far I am confirmed for 1, 2, 3, 4. So about 11 of those shows so far I am confirmed for. My first show of the year is going to be Planet Comic-Con in middle of February, and I'm really looking forward to coming back out there. It's in Kansas City, Missouri, February 16th to the 18th. After a 3-month break, I'm ready to get out there and go back in battle. So I'm looking forward to coming out to Planet City Comic-Con. It's one of my favorite shows of the year, and I apologize for the volume over here. Well, after that, I will be at Emerald City Comic-Con, which, oh man, I love Seattle. Great place. And looking forward to heading back up there beginning of March. And then I'll be doing Awesome Con in end of March with my sales captain, Kevin Hines. I'm going to be coming out there and hanging out with him. And after that, I'll be back in Chicago for C2E2. That is a hometown show, and I wouldn't miss it for the world. And then after that, I'm going to Phoenix Comic-Con. Wouldn't miss that show for the world either. I just love Arizona. It's such a great place. And then I'm doing Denver Comic-Con for the first year, so I'm looking forward to that. Everybody's been talking about that show for a long time. I've been trying to get into it, but my son's birthday falls around that time, and Father's Day, it's always something. And as much as important as work is to me, it's also important that my kids know that they have a father. So it's a show I have been putting off, but fortunately I have an awesome wife, and she's been really encouraging. We need to pay the bills and stuff, so she's been like, all right, cool, you can head out to Denver this year. So and then I got invited to my first comic show ever, all expenses paid. Looking forward to it. Going to talk about it way more. Oak Comic-Con in Council Bluffs, Iowa. So looking forward to my first invite. And let's hope it'll be a good show. And then I'll be coming back to San Diego Comic-Con, hopefully, assuming everything is good to go, which according to my chart says it is. So I just got to basically book a flight and figure out, what windowsill I'm sleeping under, and we're good to go. And then hopefully I'll get back into Boston Comic-Con this year. That one is not a confirmed show yet. They still have not started to sell tables yet. But if you're in the Boston area and are interested in helping me get a table quicker, that would be awesome. I'd really appreciate it. If not, it's all good. Let's see. I'll be doing Wizard World Chicago again. It's a hometown show, so I'll be there. Just got to roll out of bed and drive over to the Men's Center and hang out with you guys. What could be better than that? And then I'll be heading back out to Baltimore Comic-Con. That is a confirmed show, end of September. Looking forward to that. And I'm shooting for New York Comic-Con. I applied. I never had problems getting into it so far. Hopefully this year will be the same deal. And I'll be doing the 1500 comic book battle again while I'm out there. And I'm going to premiere YI SOON SHIN Hunter and Destroyer #1. It's going to be awesome. We're working on the first scene now. In fact, while I'm out here, I'm just, getting loaded up on alcohol, coming back here with a cigar in my mouth and just dreaming up new ideas. So it's going to be a great book. We've done a lot of research, and we're still kind of in the process of doing the research just to kind of make sure that, you know, when we bend the rules, we bend them the right way. Because the worst thing is when you're working on a historical piece, if you exaggerate but not in the right ways. So, you know, doing your research is important, and I'll talk about that some other time. And then finally, I'm hoping to get into Alamo City Comic-Con. I haven't done that show in a couple of years, and it'd be really wonderful to get back. And a lot of people have been asking me lately, like, hey, Honor, are you heading back out to Korea anytime soon? As of right now, I have not been invited to come back to Korea, but I have a feeling that something will bring me there this year. And whenever I have that gut feeling, I somehow end up over there. So hopefully there will be an opportunity for me to head out there so I can interact with my Korean audience, because I love them very much, and they've done wonders for me. But anyway, I'm going to get back out here because this weather is starting to clear up. It's not as gloomy as it was before. It was been raining, but, you know, it's all good. I get to come out here and hang out with you guys. So I'm going to head out now, though, because I want to go hang out with my friends, or with my family, and I also want to get wasted. So I'll talk to you guys later. I'm signing out. Onward to victory. I'll see you guys next week. And if there's something you want me to talk about, just hit me up on Facebook Messenger. Let me know what you want to know about, all right? Take care. See you next week.